Hey YouTube, so today I got another deck profile. Unfortunately this isn't for a regional because I haven't got a chance to play one in the new format yet, but it is for a Winamat tournament where I won this beautiful Evil Twin mat, as well as the Field Center, and of course some OTS packs. So yeah, this is the mat's going for about $180 on eBay, this about $20, so over a $200 prize for this tournament, so I do consider it like a decent result. There was over 16 people entered in it, so yeah, not a regional. Hopefully I can bring you a topping profile for one of those shortly. But it was a decently sized tournament. I am confident that this deck is capable of topping a regional. So yeah. This will be a physical deck profile, but just like the last one, first I'm going to show you the list on TV, so you can just take a quick glance and see what it is. And also the download link will be in the description. So there's the list. I'll leave it on screen for a few seconds. Anyways, on to the card by card. Now, thinking about it afterwards, there are actually a few changes that I would make to the list, but I will show you the list as I used it, and then explain the changes I would make after. So first of all, we have the birds, the best ones, the starters, the 3 turquoise warbler, and the 3 bird call. Can't be running any less of any of these, otherwise you're not actually playing birds. Just the 1 sparrow, 1 barrel, 1 wagtail, and 1 swallow. Just one of each, I think, is the perfect number. You just really want to search them out. With the bird calls, get your missing pieces. Especially these 3, you want to search out off of either Cobalt Sparrow, Bird Call, or Recital Starling. I would consider maybe increasing this, or maybe even adding another one of these, but honestly, probably not. I would probably almost certainly keep all of these 3 at 1 copy each, and maybe increase some of these, but I'm kind of liking all the going second cards that it gets to run by keeping this engine small. I wouldn't run less than 1 of each though, because I think it just gives you such an incredible going second, and can also put up some big ensemble robins on turn 1, which is still as crazy as always. Something else I just wanted to talk about as far as the bird engine, kind of the reason that I'm still running this version of the deck instead of just like pure Tri-Brigade or even a different deck, honestly, is this engine is just so good at extending endlessly through hand traps, and arguably even better at like breaking established boards. You can just threaten Zeus so many different ways without even using normal summon, and the way that this deck threatens Zeus is with a card that can quick effect make all your things indestructible. So yeah, Assembled Nightingale. And just making your cards indestructible is just absolutely insane against stuff like Prank Kids, where their only way of interacting with you is the Battle Butler, like, except unless they have like a hand trap or maybe a Griffin Rider negate. But just having an indestructible direct attacking monster is incredibly good against that deck. Incredibly good against stuff like Phantom Knight, where they really want to interact with you by using DPE. It's just insane. This card is just insane. Being able to just spit out summons that can threaten making this card without using your normal summon at all, it just makes this engine so good going second. The 1 for 1. This card just does what I was talking about with the birds, where it just lets you play through so much. Like special summoning a level 1 from the deck could be a Wagtail, which will net you a Bird Call, could be a Cobalt Sparrow, which will net you any bird, obviously, and like grabbing a Bird Call, and then like if you already have a bird in your hand, using the Bird Call to special summon it out. It's just crazy. I can't stress enough just how well this engine can play through an endless amount of interruptions without ever using your normal summon. 1 for 1 really does suck if they negate it and minus you, but just the fact that it can play through so much, I think it's such a good card in this deck. You genuinely want to bait out some negates probably before you fire this off, but honestly, if you're using this and pitching like a Kit or a Nerval, which a lot of the time you will be, you're not really minusing. Speaking of Kit and Nerval, we got the Tribe Engine, Triple Fractal, 4th copy of Fractal, the Pseudo Fractal, Triple Nerval, Triple Kit, and Double Keras. Oh, and last but not least, the 1 Revolt. Never running more than 1 Revolt is the card you want to draw the least. You'll never have to resolve more than 1. You should have won the game already before that's ever an issue. We are on 3 Kit, running the full Tribe package now. If you watch my last deck profile, you'll sort of understand my reasoning for that. But yeah, this is more of a pure Tri-Brigade list with just the Bird Engine to help you play through things more. We want the consistency of the pure Tri-Brigade list, where we can, no matter what our hand is, we can basically guarantee setting up a Revolt, usually a Revolt plus Appaloosa, and then have some hand traps to back it up. And then a lot of the time, Sure Egg will just get us into the Bird Engine, which can let us threaten Zeus. Now that I've played this deck quite a bit, something I would change is I would cut 1 Keras, probably for another hand trap, likely a second, I haven't shown you the hand traps yet, so spoilers, but likely a second DD Crow, maybe a 3rd Ash, maybe a 3rd Ogre. But yeah, I would cut this. He's honestly the worst card to draw, and the worst hands that I had were stuff like Keras plus one of the one-of birds, like Keras plus Swallow or Keras plus Wagtail, or even both, honestly. Like, hands with this are just unplayable. So I would cut Keras to 1. The second copy shouldn't ever come up, honestly, and you don't want to draw it. Onto the going second cards. We got double Nibiru, double Ash, double Ogre, triple Imperm, triple Chalice, double Cosmic, and DD Crow. Move him up there so he's out of the glare. But yeah, okay, so going through these in order, I think Nibiru is like the best hand trap this format. If you think about the best decks, it's Phantom Knight, Prank Kids, Swordswell. This card is just insane into all of them. Honestly, I probably would bump it up to 3. The only thing is you don't want to see multiples, and you don't want to see it a lot of the time going first, so seeing multiples going first is really bad. That's why I'm on 2 right now. But yeah, this card is insane into like the majority of the decks you're going to see. Double Ash, as it hits everything, and is really, really good against Swordswell, especially. Double Ogre, this card is really good this format. Great into... phenomenal into the Adventure Engine, either shutting them out outright if it's in your opening 5 by destroying the continuous spell, or even if it's your 6th, you get to effectively negate the Griffin Rider since that card has to remain face up to resolve. Just excellent in this format. The DD Crow, as it is searchable, and quite good, honestly. You can use this to break the Scythe lock, use this to banish DP even if they don't get to Scythe. Pretty good card. Obviously invaluable in matchups like Eldritch and Sky Striker. Triple Imperm. Just a good generic hand trap. It's good as your 6th card, good in your opening 5. If this is your only hand trap, I'll often save it to activate on my turn rather than on theirs. But it's also another way to prevent the Scythe lock. Like, basically all my hand traps are, and why I'm running so many going second cards is Scythe lock is the only thing I'm scared of. This deck, as I mentioned before, this deck goes second very, very well. So the only thing I'm scared of is if my opponent can get off a Scythe lock, because that basically just prevents me from playing altogether. So if I can get any combination of like 2 of these cards, I can break through a Scythe lock. So the way Imperm does that is I can Imperm the Verte. that's the best use as far as preventing Scythe Lock, but of course, I can always just wait till my turn and just imperm something on their turn, whether it be like a Baron or something. Card's really good. Triple Forbidden Chalice. I love this card. I know I've seen in comments before asking if I would replace this with Droplets, and absolutely not. I'm unsure if I'd even run Droplets in this deck, as you kind of need... You sometimes have things you want to discard, but sometimes you don't. And Droplets plus a hand trap is pretty bad. Droplets is really only good if you can like use it to send like one of these cards or like a bird call or something. So yeah, if I was running Droplets, I absolutely would not cut Chalice, because I would want to combo the two together. Anyways, enough talking about Droplets. Just Chalice alone is so good. Like, you might think it's just a worse imperm, but the fact that you can activate it while you control things makes it so much better. On your turn, of course. Like, no one ever expects this in your hand, so when your opponent's thinking about how to use their interruptions, and then you just chain this to one of them, you can catch them completely off guard. A lot of the times a good Phantom Knight player will play around the imperm by waiting to try to Scythe Lock you until you have a monster on board, and like that just gives them more value on the DP anyway, because they can pop your monster and pop Scythe, and you can chain Chalice in those situations. But yeah, I love this card. It's so good for breaking boards. I was always on Triple Chalice last format, and I will continue to be this format. Then we got the Double Cyclone. Again, another card that helps you break the Scythe Lock. This card has utility in every single matchup this format. All of the strong decks have some form of back row. And its biggest use is obviously against Phantom Knights and against the Scythe Lock, as I keep mentioning. It really is the number one thing I thought about when I was choosing my tech cards, is how do I allow myself to play the game? And like, it's not just that the Scythe Lock is so powerful against this deck, it's that I don't really care about interruptions, because the Bird engine is just so resilient at going second that interruptions are fine. I can figure out a way to play around them, but a Floodgate like Scythe, I need to stop that. Onto the extra deck. So I am now playing 2 Farragets, not just one. I found this card coming up very often. If you watch my last profile, the card I cut for this was the Downerd Magician. Downerd does come up sometimes to give Zeus an extra negate, or an extra activation, but I found the second Farraget just coming up so often. It can come up in some of the longer lines where you're linking off lots of things, and it also comes up if in some of the combo lines if you get interrupted, which, again, like, that's always something you want to think about when you're deck building, when you're choosing a deck to play. Like, how do you play through interruptions? And it's something this deck's already good at, so pushing that further is better. But yeah, the second Farraget I found in my play testing, it just came up a lot more often than Downerd Magician did. 1 Bearbrum, because Revolt's a good card. 1 Double Dragon Lords, just to make boards stronger, allow you to put out some interruptions with only 2 materials, allow you to crack boards with only banishing 2. Link 3s, 1 Rugal, 1 Doom Eagle. A case could be made to cut one of these, probably Doom Eagle, honestly, but I do like having both. Sometimes, depending on what you open, you might have to make Rugal turn 1, and it's nice to have a Link 3 for later follow-up to quickly turn a Tri-Brigade into an Axis Code Talker. And of course, this card is great into the DPE engine, or against things like Sky Striker. Next we have the Double Shurag, you need 2. 3 is a bit excessive, and there's just no space. 1 Appaloosa, because of course. 1 Axis Code. Again, this deck is insane going second, and this card is a big reason why. 1 Elmirage for awkward hands. 1 Recital Starling, the one we're allowed to play. This card's insane. lets you search anything, basically. One Nightingale, because Zeus is an excellent card. There he is. The biggest reason this deck is insane going second. And one Ensemble Robin. This card could maybe get cut, but it is just so strong when you make it. The fact that it gives you, like, at minimum 2 interruptions off one card plus follow-up, but a lot of the time it'll be 4 interruptions by itself plus follow-up. Really good card. Even if a lot of your boards will not have it, I think it's worth running just because the ones that do have it become so much stronger because of it. Onto the side deck, we have the third copy of Nibiru. Like I said, only meaning 2. Triple Droll luck. This card comes in for things like the Invoked Dogmatica matchup, Dragon Link, which I think is another really good deck this format. It's like okay, but not the best into anything running the Adventurer engine. I honestly, it could be main deckable if Sword Soul wasn't such a good deck because it's just terrible there. So yeah, right now it's just in the side for things like Invoked, Sky Striker, and Dragon Link. Triple Lancia comes in against stuff like Phantom Knights, any sort of Chaos shenanigan stuff, so D-Link being the strongest of those. And of course, Floowandereeze. It's also pretty good into Tenyi Sword Soul. Next, the back row 8, Double Twisters, the third copy of Cyclone, and the Red Reboot, just for things that want to set 5 against you. Third Cosmic can also come in against Phantom Knights, depending on how the ratios work out. Called by the Grave. This is a going first card, because stopping hand traps is good, but seeing that card going second is not good most of the time. It's also really nice going first, because even if they don't hand trap you, it's just an interruption on their turn. Then finally, we have the other going first cards, the Triple Featherstorm. This brings us to the second change that I would make to this deck list. This card is really powerful if it goes off, but I think that power is not worth it as far as what this deck is going for. This deck is already really powerful. We want consistency with what we're bringing in. So, for that reason, I would instead bring in Shared Ride. I thought about Solemn Judgment for this spot, but it's not super important that you have a Solemn Judgment to protect your board, because your board generally isn't something with like massive floodgates or anything. So just like putting up a bunch of interruptions and a Shared Ride, like you basically guarantee that you're going to win on the following turn. Not to mention that this card, in a deck like this, where you're running like 15 going second cards, vast majority of them being hand traps, you're almost certainly going to draw into a hand trap. So this card will prevent... This card is effectively Max C in a way, because as they do all their searching and adding from grave to hand, you're going to draw into a hand trap and you're going to stop them that way, and then you're just going to use all your advantage to win on the following turn. So yeah, that's going to do it for this deck profile. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're running this deck this format, let me know how you're liking it, and if you're not, just let me know what you're running. We're not very deep into this new format, so always nice to just discuss what people think about the state of the meta and what the best decks are. Oh, also let me know what type of content you want to see from me. I've gotten many comments requesting certain types of videos, and I appreciate every single one of those. So yeah, be sure to let me know if there's something you want to see. Thanks.